let's introduce the hosts first. So I'll start with myself because I have the word now. My name is Ioanna, and I'm a 3D artist at Ink, a creative studio based in London. And I'll be one of your hosts tonight. And I hope you have a lot of fun because, this is amazing. And thank you, everyone, for being with us. It's just, have fun. And let's spread some good energy.
Cool, man. I guess I'll go up next. My name is Nicklas Byriel. I'm a teacher at 3D College Denmark and also the founder of the of the newly created YouTube channel Chaos Theory, where I'm doing tutorials for 3ds Max, V-Ray, and all sorts of good things. So yeah, that's I'm really excited to just be here and be amongst these all these cool speakers that we got for the show 1, and just generally excited.
Yes.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yes.
Yes, I am the shy one. I am Pedro. So I am the founder of Inbetweenness, that is an experience company for the ArchViz industry that will be doing online and in-person events. So I really hope that you enjoy the next 2 hours, the next 24 hours. And I really believe that will be an epic event as well. So who we will have here today, I guess we have a couple faces that someone from the community that already know, right?
Yeah,
For sure.
we have. I was bragging around with the lineup we have because I'm so happy we have you all, guys. It's amazing, and thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
Should we quickly give you the word to introduce yourselves if you want to, like just a sentence? Let's start with with Realtime, guys.
Yeah, let's start with Stu, baby.
So I'm Stu Bayley. I'm a director at Realtime UK. So we do game cinematics predominantly for the industry. So all those nice shiny cinematics that you see on television that you wish the game looked like. That's kind of what we do. And we have lots of fun doing it. And we've got a really cool project that we're going to talk through with you guys tonight. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be involved in 24 Hours of Chaos. So thank you for having us.
And hello, I'm Nicolas Seck. I'm the animation director at Realtime Studio. I'm based in Manchester. And it's great fun to be a part of this event. Quite amazing, 24 hours of CG guys with various fields. It's going to be really fun. Really glad to be part of it and to talk a bit about what we are doing at Realtime. We do lots of cool stuff, as Stu said, and lots of animation on various type of projects. For this evening, we're going to talk about our trailer for a video game, but we do as well TV series and automotive product.
Thank you very much.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
We're actually, so we have a really tight schedule. Ioanna made sure of that. But I think it kind of makes sense to just let everyone who is on right now, because we will have more guests joining us, just to quickly introduce themselves, so people know who they are if you ask any questions during the different presentations we have lined up. So maybe if we could go over to Adán.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure. My name is Adán Martín. I'm from Madrid. And actually, I'm the director of 3D Collective, a small company based in Madrid, where we provide high-quality assets for 3D artists, and also the director of schooling, a small boutique school where we train students to become professionals on the architectural visualization industry. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Victor?
Hello, so my name is Victor Bonafonte. I'm an art director, and I'm co-founder of Beauty and the Beat, an architectural communication studio in Madrid. And recently, from the beginning of this year, I've become the art director of a new company called Stage 11 that is mainly based on entertainment and music, fashion, etc., etc. And it's going to be live or on air basically shortly.
Amazing. We can't wait to hear more. Thanks. And we have Thomas.
Yeah, So my name is Thomas Berg, and I'm a 3D generalist from Trondheim, Norway. And I have a company called High Five Animasjon, and I will be showing some different projects I've been working on. So yeah, it's great fun to be a part of this.
Perfect.
Thank you very much again, all
Really
of you.
cool.
And yeah, we have more people coming, so stay tuned, everyone. Yeah, and now also we have a bit of news that Nicolas is going to share with you for some fun bits that are happening during the shows.
Right. I almost forgot this.
Oh.
But everyone who's watching us has the chance to win some great prizes. If you can't tell, I'm reading off a script here. They have prizes from Chaos, SiNi Software, and Creative Lighting. If you want to win a 1-year software license for V-Ray or Corona, that's your choice. SiNi Software and a free ticket to the Lightmix course brought to you by the guys at Creative Lighting. That is Nicolas, who also hosts on show 12, I think. All you need to do is fill out the form at chaosgroup.com 24 giveaway, and the raffle is on. It's for 24 hours only. We also have a contest where you can share your selfie. If you use the hashtag 24 hours of chaos, just share a selfie with yourself on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that, and use the hashtag 24 hours of chaos. And again, you can win cool swag, t-shirts, mouse pads, and a lot of really cool things from chaos. And also there is a 24 hours of chaos ultimate champion, which is a 12-question quiz that is actually starting from now, where you need to go to sli.do and enter in a code. I think the thing will be on the screen at some point, so you can remember all of it. Here you can win a lot of really cool trophies and branded t-shirts, Bluetooth speakers. There's subscriptions from Autodesk, like 3ds Max and Maya, which is really cool as well. V-Ray collection license, SiNi Software annual licenses, and again, Creative Lighting, Lightmix courses. All of this will be during the 24 hours live show. But you will need to answer a lot of questions, 12 questions for each of the show afterwards. So there is something for all of you guys who actually stay up for all 24 hours. Wow, that was a bit. I think I got through all of it.
Yeah, went well.
Yeah, great.
Right. Maybe we should just jump straight into it with the Realtime guys. Let's show
start.
their presentation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can we get the presentation on for the Realtime guys?
Please.
Click the button.
Oh, we're on Nico. We're wrong.
Oops.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to chat at 24 Hours of Chaos. It looks like an amazing event, so we're really pleased to be part of it. I'm Stu Bayley. I'm a director at Realtime UK.
And I'm Nicolas Seck, animation director at Realtime UK.
Yeah. So we're going to be chatting you through one of our projects that we've recently worked on, and that is Subnautica Below Zero. It was actually Nico's first project in the studio, if I remember.
Indeed.
And it was our first collaboration, and it was a really, really fun project to work on, and it's received. We've won a few awards, and we've received a lot of positive feedback for it. So we thought it'd be a nice project to chat through and what we do. So there's 3 different sides to the studio. We've got the game side of the studio, which which has been the backbone probably of the studio from the beginning. We've been going for 25 years now, and that this is kind of the first part that was actually forged within the studio. So we work with some of the biggest clients from around the world: Microsoft, Codemasters, Frontier, Tencent, amongst many, many others. We do lots of different styles of games trailer, from stylized to realistic, in engine now, as well as pre-rendered. Ironically, with our name being Realtime, we've only just started doing Realtime in the past few years. But apart from that, we've got TV and broadcast, which has started to go from strength to strength. We got into that maybe 2-3 years ago now, and it's just doing great guns. The show that you can see the clip from there is a Discovery of Witches, which we started working on as principal vendor. Done some amazing animation effects work for that particular project amongst others as well. And the other side of the final side of the studio is the automotive side of the studio. So the guys, they're super talented, creating some beautiful high-end photorealistic automotive imagery. And at the moment, they're moving more into actual commercials and adverts for clients as well. So again, another side of the studio that's going from strength to strength. So it keeps us on our toes. Lots of different styles of work, lots of different genres of work in the studio. Okay, so what we're going to do now is going to play the trailer for you guys. We hope you like it. So enjoy.
Once I was falling asleep. I'm not scared. My dreams are all I ever needed. She told me what I'd see. Nothing's gonna get in my way. Nothing's gonna get in my way. Nothing's gonna get in my way.
Oh, well, we're back again, Nico.
Yeah.
Back. Oh, yeah. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Yeah. So that was Subnautica, Below Zero. So yeah. So we hope it was a humorous trailer, and and the character was endearing and someone that you could relate to. That's kind of what we're aiming for with it. So the guy that featured in that trailer and that you can see in this screenshot is Fred. Fred's kind of a mysterious character, isn't he, Nico? In the game, he's not actually someone that you meet.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the mysterious guy that everybody's talking about but have never seen.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of someone. I can't quite put my finger on it. Who do you think it is? An actor or character? Yeah, I can't think. Anyway, I'm sure we'll come back to that later on. But yeah, so the idea with Fred is an engineer. He's kind of like an every guy or every person that's just trying to get through the daily grind, and we thought that was kind of really relatable in terms of a character. We're all just trying to get through life, basically, aren't we? So the fact that he's just trying to get through his work day, and all of these obstacles have been thrown in his path was such a cool idea and concept for a trailer, we thought, and something that a lot of people have kind of related to, I think. One of the things that we kind of wanted to brush on, which is kind of we felt was one of the more difficult things to achieve in the trailer, is the sense of comedy. It's quite a scary proposition when you've got a trailer that needs to be humorous. Action, adventure, all of these things, they're kind of, they're difficult in their own right, but comedy just it's such a daunting task, isn't it, to try and get something that's hopefully going to make people laugh or make people smile. one of the theories that we kind of that were employed in this is the superiority theory. So it's the idea that, you know, when the joke is happening to somebody, or when something bad is happening to somebody else, as humans, we tend to find that funny. You know, so if Nico, you're coming back from the bar and you've got a tray full of drinks and you slip and you kind of, you know, you fall flat on your butt and they fall all over you. It's funny, you know. It's not. It didn't happen to me, you know. It's kind of there's a safety in the fact that it's somebody else. It's not me, and you know, it's just a naturally funny thing. And especially, it's one, you know, these things when you're watching YouTube and you can just spend hours watching these videos of people, epic fail videos, basically, you know. And there's something built into the human condition that finds that thing funny. So again, that was one of the techniques that we used in that particular instance for where Fred comes a cropper. The next thing, which is kind of something that you can use in terms of, you know, the narrative storytelling, is the relief theory. So whenever you do try and build tension, having a joke and having something that's humorous instantly relieves that tension. It's like a pressure cooker, you know, or the fact of, you know, the blowfish. I can't remember the exact name of the creature now in the crash fish. Yeah, that's it. You know, exploding, and you can see that he's distraught. His eyes twitching. You know, he's on the verge of a breakdown, and he slams the locker shut, and you've just got to keep calm. So it kind of immediately diffuses that, you know, that tension in the situation. And just using these techniques throughout the trailer were just these little cues that were employed just to create that little bit of a more pleasurable experience to watch.
I like as well the fact that there were some different type of humors, like more toward the end, it's when he's falling in this hole after being chased by those big monsters.
Yeah.
There's a form of relief, like, oh yeah, he's safe, but no, bang, 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 hitting the ground. And you feel, oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you laugh as well of the fall.
Exactly, and that's the thing they were talking about at the beginning. It's that you know, you've got that distance because it isn't happening to you; it's happening to somebody else. And I think the key thing, what I forgot to kind of mention before, is that these things are only funny if the person doesn't really hurt themselves. Yeah. You know, obviously you're a bit of a sadist if you still laugh. Someone's arms kind of bent backwards, and you know they really hurt themselves. You know, the idea behind this comedy is that you see something that looks brutal and, you know, kind of misfortunate, but at the same time the person gets up at the end of it and they're actually, oh, I'm fine, it's okay, I'm fine. You know, that's the humor. So we start small at the beginning with just a small, you know, kind of hot liquid falling in Fred's lap. Then we build slightly to the, you know, the sea monkey kind of stealing his welder. Then we build it even further to the snow stalkers chasing him and, you know, ready to bite his head off. And then, you know, and then we, you know, take it up another level as he kind of brutally falls down, cascades down this embankment to the base of this huge cave. So I think that was, from my point of view anyway, that was the real key to the trailer's success, is that escalation of that conflict. You know, so and that's the key to kind of keeping the viewer engaged as well in the trailer. You know, what's going to happen next. Yeah, we kind of covered this already, but, you know, seeing that character overcome these obstacles endears the audience to that character, which is definitely one of the techniques that we wanted to employ. And one of the things that we wanted to do right from the beginning, Nico, was we didn't want him to react too much. And we found that in some of the early tests that we did and some of the earlier animation and, you know, kind of ideas that we're throwing around, he maybe reacted too much. So when he spilled the tea on himself, his facial expressions were big.
Yeah.
You know, before he slammed the door, after
it was quite violent.
Yeah, you know, and we found that, and a lot of this came from the client's feedback as well. So it's, you know, it's working with the client and, you know, kind of understanding what they want, was that the more we reduced his reactions, the funnier it got, because we weren't playing for laughs at that point. The funny things were just happening, and we weren't trying to make them funny. They were, you know, they were comedic just in the timing and the subtlety of it, rather than trying to over exaggerate the character's performance.
Exactly. There's always a fine balance to find to get the right tone.
Yeah. So moving through a little bit more detail in the background, I suppose, kind of the ins and outs of exactly how we made the trailer.
Yeah. So that was 3ds Max projects. It was supposed to be our last 3ds Max project in animation. It turned out that we did more, but and the 33 shots, that's a decent amount of shots for a trailer of 2 minutes. It gives a good pace, a good flow of variations of scenes. So the animation team was like 5 animators, but globally it was a core of 4 people because they didn't come all at the same time. So we had this storyboard that was made as an animatic, and we did a first pass of a previs to establish the global tone of the show. So so as I was saying, we are talking about the animatic. At that moment, we could think about specific ingredients we could add to the different performances to give the flavor, to give the tone of each sequences. And it was as well a good moment to establish the flow of the shots. So since it's a trailer for a video game, we had as well to respect the tone of the game. So first thing was to observe what was done for the game, for the different creatures, and from there trying to enhance, because it is a trailer, so you want to sell more. So we added lots of extra details, but still respecting the general performance of those creatures. So it wouldn't look too different for the gamers when they would see the trailer. So after it's classical process, searching for references, particularly to give realism and believability to the different creatures. They are fictional creatures, so we had a bit of course of flexibility on that. But when you refer to real creatures for specific details, whether it's for speed, for type of motion, for instance, the squid shark, obviously we looked at a lot of shark references, and you get different type of sharks. This is a big one, but it was interesting to add this sudden type of motion to give a nice contrast. It adds up to make this creature believable, even though it doesn't exist.
I mean, I know we did do a mocap shoot for this. It was just it wasn't a huge shoot, just myself and you. Me making you jump around like a nutter in a mocap suit, but it served its purpose. I know we knew it was going to be mainly a hand animated project, but it served its purpose, didn't it? For timings, how long does it take a person to perform this particular task? Climbing out of the submarine maybe, or just walking up a hill, or just given general. It allowed us at the beginning just to block things out really quickly. A lot of that got hand animated over and totally kind of thrown to the side, but even on a stylized project like this, there's a use for mocap, isn't there?
It gives it's an extra reference. Basically, you can get lots of little details that would be very difficult to imagine just by doing a hand animation. So you can observe those little details. You decide if you want to integrate them or not in your performance, but at least that gives a good visual reference for especially a human doing crazy stuff like Fred was doing.
You were very tired after that long day of throwing yourself all over the place, weren't you? You were bruised and tired. Rigging.
So rigging. It was a big challenge because we had only 2 riggers, and one guy did all the creatures, which was quite a huge task considering the amount of time the guy had. And so both of them were very talented, and we had the luck to get this great rigger for Fred, doing very detailed facial rig, which allowed us to go in lots of subtle motions.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my favorite things. I mean, you see it in a lot of amazing trailers, so it's not anything that just we're doing. You know, all the best studios do it, but you know, just the subtle cloth simulation, or when he has been blown up, there's a little bit of hair that just moves slightly because his head is slightly shaking. So you do get a little bit of simulation on the front of his hair that just moves, and all of these tiny little details, and even just the steam coming up from his mug as he's taking a sip, and as he breathes, you see his breath interact with that steam. All of those things for me are, you know, those visceral things that you can relate to, those little details that you don't actually notice, but are all thought about and have to go in. And I think they just all add up, don't they, to make you make you kind of feel what that character's feeling. So we got just a couple of shots here, haven't we? Some of the detailed feedback that we're giving throughout the project.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of detailed images for the riggers to have a base of work. So explaining everything we are expecting to be able to do, and to be as clear as possible, so they can convey what we need for animating those beautiful creatures.
Wait, who's that guy? I recognize
Who's
him.
that chappy?
I recognize that guy. He looks like someone. Yeah, we could have used him as reference for Fred.
That's a good idea. Next time.
Where did you find that reference? I could have used that. But yeah, this is kind of your point of finding real world influences, isn't it? Even if it's a stylized world.
Yeah, it's to feel connected as well.
Yeah,
to feel
connected to this Tash.
Yeah,
Tash at all times.
Well, they certainly are part of the same family.
Yeah,
it must be an old cousin.
Must be a relative. Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers the project. It was an awesome one to work on, wasn't it? You know, we had such fun, and to be honest with you, we've had such a good reaction from A, the fans, and B, just general public, and
the clients as well.
And the client, yeah,
which is the main thing.
Yeah, it's done really, really well for the client, which is what we always want. Is the main thing that we always want from trailers that we produce. And we've been lucky enough to win a few awards off the back of it, which is just like a cherry on top, really. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed us rambling on about this particular trailer. And yeah, it's such a cool event to be a part of 24 Hours of Chaos. So thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Wow.
Well done.
So amazing, guys. So
guys,
amazing.
it seems like you had a lot of fun working on this project.
Yeah, it was really great. Really good.
Especially doing the mocap, I guess.
Yeah. It's like a baptism of fire for Nico. It was his first project, and I was just getting him to jump around like an idiot, roll around on the floor, and fall over.
Especially, we had to feel that he was walking in the snow. So we put some mattresses on the floor, climbing. It was quite an experience.
It's a really fun way to do it.
Yeah. I have one question here regarding the character and like the overall creativity that you had in the film, in the trailer. What? Like, did some parts come from because the characters obviously has like really cool traits, and there is like a lot of character in him. So did that come from you, or you were influenced, especially like you were influenced by something like a reference outside? But what about the influence of the client on this? And like in terms of the whole creative process, the storytelling and everything, was that you or?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of lots of factors, as you can tell from our historical joke about Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Reference that the client was quoting that character to us from the offset. So, you know, very melancholy, very matter of fact. You know, somebody that just kind of wants to get through the day. You know, kind of, and they aren't flamboyant. So those kind of traits definitely came the client from the offset.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there's so much detail and so much nuance that we put into the character. I think, just from the way they move, and it's one thing describing someone acting a certain way, but actually kind of making it happen in reality, animating it to be humorous and consistent throughout the trailer is kind of where we come into, to push that thing over the line.
Okay, thank you very much. And there is another question from the audience. How was the hair created?
So we use Ornatrix for all of our hair. I think we actually simulated it with Ornatrix as well this time. So yeah, and that was really, really cool one to work on, actually, especially with the snow stalks and stuff like that. We got to put a lot of extra detail into the assets that weren't in the that don't feature in the game as well.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you.
cool.
Yeah, very cool.
You talked something about that most of your animators were working remotely. I assume this is partially because of the pandemic and all of those things going around, but do you have any plans of trying to incorporate more remote work like in the future when hopefully there is no pandemic? Or as in, did you learn something about how this experience might have worked? Was it just pure bad, or did something good actually come out of it as well?
Funnily enough, this trailer was made before the pandemic. So
okay.
in our way of working, we use lots of freelancers, and the easiest for us is to get people from all over the world. So we work with lots of remote artists as a general habit. And we found that anyway, with this pandemic, that was quite a good flow for us to work. Particularly for me in animation, it's good that I can be isolated from the rest of the team, because the company is quite small, so we are all in the same room usually, and I have to perform a lot to explain to my animators what I'm expecting from them. So you can imagine that it can be distorted for the others. So for me, it's perfect. I like to work with my guys all over the world. We get some people from Russia, for instance, UK, Spain, Mexico as well.
That's really cool.
Yes, it's fun.
So people are still like encouraged to actually seek out jobs at Realtime, even though they won't be able to actually move to your location, but they can actually maybe actually work from remotely as well.
Yeah, more so than ever now. I think we've been working from home since the pandemic started. Really, we're kind of getting back into the office a bit, but it's revolutionised the way we work, and we've invested a lot in the infrastructure within the studio to allow us to function properly working from home now. So yeah, some good stuff's come out of it. It's been good.
We have another question from the audience saying that the lighting seems really good, and how was that achieved?
V-Ray, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, we've got some amazing guys in the studio, some super talented guys, and that's kind of what we love to do, is just pour detail into things, extra detail, skin shaders, kind of hair, simulation. So our main tool is V-Ray to do all of that stuff. Comp in Nuke. That's kind of it really. I mean, it's use Ornatrix for our hair, and we have started to move into Houdini for doing our simulation right now and our CFX. So we've got a nice pipeline going from Max to Houdini and back again for doing our simulation work.
All right.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I bet everyone has loads of questions, but yeah.
We have timings to do.
Yeah, we have to move on.
We have to, but that's fine. And thank you so much for that really cool presentation. And that was just like amazing work, guys. That was really cool.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us.
Adán, you're here because of 3D schooling, or sorry, of schooling. Just I'm mixing your the two things you're doing. So it's just 3D schooling for some reason. Could you tell us a little bit, or the audience at least, a little bit about what you do and what to expect from you?
Well, schooling is it's like a passion project. It's a very small school, and we create the school to teach the way we would like to learn. When I was young, I didn't have access to something like that, or I have access to some training that I don't like. And the main idea of schooling is to create a learning environment that we are proud of. And the main goal of the school is to train professionals, not only to train how to use a tool, because honestly, you can find that information on the internet, but to understand how to work on tight deadlines and how to work in a more efficient way, and how to achieve high quality results in the typical deadline of a studio. Because we identify that here, especially in Spain, there was a school doing something like that, and the studios in the area told us that it would be great to have something like that. So we do it, and it's, as I told you, it's a very small school. We don't want to create something big, because Eduardo and me want to still to be the main teachers and to have control on the process, and to spend a lot of time with the students. So yeah, that's what we do. We spend 7 to 8 months, 7 to 8 hours a day, working very intense with the students, with a group of 18 people, to trying to get the best results we can. And yeah, that's it. It's what we do.
Really cool. And so, being on the topic of education, because that's primarily why you're here, and also probably why I'm actually here, because that's what both of us represent. So what do you feel like that education brings to the table when people have the option now to just go online, learn from tutorials, from video tutorials and so on? Like, there's so much free content out there. So why do you feel like, I know why I feel like this, but what is your opinion on, why should they go to a school instead, for example?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I have also that question to myself when we opened the school. Is something that I asked to myself. So I have, for example, a YouTube channel with plenty of information. It's completely free, and I learn by myself. Well, no one learn by himself. You need to read a book, someone needs to write a book or a blog post or a YouTube channel. But it's true that you can find plenty of information in the internet. But to me, there are a main difference. The main difference is time. When you learn by yourself, especially when you are a beginner, for example, now I can learn topics very fast, but when you are a beginner, identify what's good and what's not so good on the internet is very difficult. So you need to go to a very time-consuming process of, learning everything that's up to you. And after a while, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, you start having some experience to diagnose, when something is good and when something is not. Also, there are another 2 very important topics, in my opinion, regarding to education. The first one is motivation. Not everyone have the motivation to learn by themselves. It's quite hard to, you are alone in your room and you have plenty of information, but sometimes it's difficult, to face all of that hard work you need to put into the table to achieve good results. So going to a school allows you to work in a team. You work with a lot of students, and we realize that this is very important, and that's also why we prefer presential training and not online training, because you can create a group of people with the same goals, and it motivates. They motivate in between themselves and creates a very good learning environment. And to me, at least, another very important topic, it's creativity. And not everyone have the right tools to develop creativity, because the way we used to learn, at least here in Spain, for example, on schools and universities and things like that, it's quite linear, and to develop creativity, that it's very important for that particular line of work. You need to, you need a teacher that can guide you to develop your creativity, to enhance it, to, don't be afraid of making mistakes and a lot of different things. So the mentoring part of education, to me, it's very important, but it all, at the end of the day, it's about time. If you have enough time and enough motivation, you can learn on the internet. That's true. But time is a very precious resource. And if you don't want to spend 4, 5, 6 years learning, maybe you can go to a school. Also, learning in a school is not guarantee of anything. There are good and bad schools also. So it's quite difficult for beginners to, to pick up the right school or to pick up the right resources. I don't know if you have a different opinion or.
No, for sure. It's, there's so many great schools out there. The school you work at, and the same for me as in 3D College and Urgo in Sweden and so on. There's so many great schools for students to choose from if they're able to pick whatever, depending on what country obviously they're in as well. But they need to obviously find the right school for who they are as a student as well. And that can be a daunting task as well. You were mentioning quite a few interesting things about motivation, and one of the things that I usually ask, like myself or maybe colleagues when we're discussing the topic of motivation is, and I can bring that to you now, is who do you believe whose responsibility is it for a student's motivation? Is it the student itself? Is it the school? Or maybe even the community around them?
Well, I think it's both. The students in a team or in a group, there is always going to be people more motivated than the others. And one of the main jobs of a good teacher is to identify the students that need more the motivation from the teacher. So it requires the ability of identify what every student needs, because they may need different things. Maybe some of them, in order to be motivated, would prefer a little bit of competition, for example. And other ones would prefer you to review their work and to give them feedback. So it's up to the teacher, to the experience of the teacher, to help all the students in different ways to motivate themselves. So I think it's both. If the student doesn't want to do anything, or maybe doesn't have the motivation, and maybe you put everything you can, and maybe you cannot get to a point where the student is motivated. But most of the time, you can do a lot of things to help the students to motivate themselves. It's pretty common, for example, in our training program. It's very intense at the beginning because we only have 7 to 8 months, and we want to achieve very high quality projects, and also we want to achieve that quality in very tight deadlines, because we know when they go to the work, they will need to be fast, because otherwise no one cares if you're able to do a beautiful image in 1 year, for example. You need to be productive. So the training program is very hard at the beginning, especially for newcomers. So it happens a lot that at some point, some students maybe break down and they feel like they cannot go ahead. But the teacher needs to understand what can be achieved by the end of the 8 months. Maybe at the beginning it's very hard, but we have plenty of different strategies in place to, make sure at the end of the 8 months, the student gets results. For example, if you teach something one time, it's very common that the student only gets like 20% or 30%. But if you teach the same thing several times and you also do practices that enhance that theory you teach, the students usually, at the end of the training program, everyone feels like they can do what we want them to do. So it's very good, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with the motivational part, I totally agree with the fact that you cannot blame one entity for whoever's responsibility it is for anyone's motivation. You can't motivate a student who isn't motivated by themselves to begin with. So if the student was Ioanna in this example, and Ioanna for some reason wasn't motivated, obviously I can't force motivation onto her. I can try, and I can try and trigger more motivation and help her get motivated. And that could be through competitions like the Rookies. We both, as schools, use this a lot. We have, I think, Elvin as well on, I can't remember which of the shows, but he's coming from the Rookies as well as a host. So that's going to be really cool to listen to. So if there are any students actually on seeing this stream, like that show 6, sorry, watch that show as well, because they will probably talk a little bit about the Rookies and what's that all about. And I'm all in for that. I love that we have this competition. I love that seeing Schooling, 3D College, Ergo, and all of the other guys actually competing, students competing amongst each others as a motivation for being, well, the best, but not necessarily the best, but just, you know, getting their work out there. That's really important. We are talking a lot here, both me and Adán. So if any of you guys actually have any questions for us, or especially for Adán here as the speaker, you're more than welcome to barge in, but I also know that this is maybe a bit of a hefty subject sometimes for people.
No. I was going to ask a question. Do you get involved in any professional projects as well with your students, kind of teaming up with live projects that are going out, or is it all kind of kept separate?
Well, we try to involve the professional community on the school. In fact, Victor, that's here, helped us a lot. He gives some conference on the school and also do a small challenge project where the students can prove themselves, because when you're studying, sometimes you lose perspective and you don't know, you're not sure if you are able to make a project, a professional project. So what we do is two things. All the projects that we do, to a certain degree, are an imitation of what happens on the real production environment. So we give them deadlines, we give them feedbacks like we were the clients, and we try to imitate as much as we can the production environment. It's not the same because we are on an academic environment, and we need to give the students time to, you know, to learn and to develop. But we try to do at least, we do 6 projects that really imitates what's happening on the real studio. And also we try to bring the studios themselves to talk with the students, to give them, you know, another assignments and things like that. So we are very lucky because in Spain, for example, the studios really help us. And I want to say thank you to all the studios that participate on Schooling. We will not be able to do something like that without the help of the studio. So it's very important for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can always say this. It's basically the same for us. We try and incorporate as much as we can from the outside, from real businesses and other studios, and you know, we do, obviously both of our schools, so me and Adán's school, both do mostly in architectural visualization. I can take last year as an example, where I asked out on, I think, Facebook and LinkedIn if anyone wanted to do a presentation for some of my students. And it turned out, I think 56 people wrote to me that they wanted to do a presentation for our students.
Wow.
From all over the world. People like Sonia Christoph, who is also a co-host on this show, came to me, and a lot of people from all different kinds of companies. And that's amazing to see how this industry, the 3D industry in general, just is when it comes to helping each other out and actually wanting to engage into education as well. Yeah. I just think that's amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's really cool. That's a good question. Thank you, Stu.
No, we're always looking for people. That's the thing as well. Yeah. You know, there's so much work to get done. So always looking for good talent.
I actually have a fast question for you guys. So everybody except Adán and me, is any of you educated formally within the 3D industry?
No.
I am.
Me too.
Ioanna is.
And I'm very motivated from within. Let's make it clear.
Maybe you were the worst example for me to take. I don't know. Okay, so you actually have formal education within the 3D industry.
Yeah.
Because I think most most of the people here are kind of old school from when there wasn't much to go for when it comes to education and so on. So people had to learn by themselves. Victor, are you in the same boat as well?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, it's like, and I think it's a good point about. I think Adán mentioned that it's like back on those days, you had less kind of material to look at, and I think it's really important when you're learning something, not only like learning the tool, which is important, okay, but also like having the mind to distinguish what is really a good tool for you to use, which is the brain, basically. It's like you can technically be a badass, but if you don't use your brain, it's not going to. And I think that's a really important part of education, at least for me. It's my personal opinion.
Yeah. If you guys could redo it now, would you do it the same way? With the opportunities that are now available, with all the schools that is now popping up everywhere, would you still approach learning the same way you initially did because you had to, or would you enroll in a school and actually just get probably a shortcut into your teachings? That's a trick question, by the way.
Difficult one. I think, for me personally, I was really lucky to come into the studio doing one role, like design more 2D work, and as Nico said, being surrounded by all the 3D guys and animators and technical people, I kind of learned through osmosis, through being surrounded by it day in, day out, and kind of experience it. I don't think I would change that for anything. I do think personally being immersed in a studio and learning that way was a privilege to be able to do that. So yeah, obviously there's some amazing schools around at the moment, so it would have been cool to go through that system. But I think for me personally, going through almost a hard knock system of kind of learning on the job with other people around me, for me was I loved learning that way, basically.
Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to start my career by going through a school which is Supinfocom, now called Rubica, and I completely value what was said before. It's definitely a shortcut. It's really helping you to get straight to the point. And that's the thing. At the end of, for me, it was 2 years of scholarity. I had a movie which I could present to the companies, and went to some of the best companies straight ahead. So that's really helping, and I can really see the difference as well from in animation, from the people who have a training and those who learn by themselves the process. Apart from the genius ones, there are some, but the process is much harder when you don't have somebody to guide you, and it can be the teachers, but as well the students. The emulsion of having students criticizing in a positive way, criticizing each other and giving shortcuts. It's stimulating as well. A way to learn the tips and tricks. So globally, it's super positive, I feel, to go through schools.
Cool. Oh. All right, we have one quick question here, and I'll give it to you, Adán, and then we have to move on to keep on our schedule. Okay. And that was a question from the chat, as in, how do you guys feel about more collaboration between schools globally?
Yeah, it will be great. I see the problem in managing all of that collaboration, because someone will need to, to make sure the collaboration happens. But I think collaboration is always a great thing, and to share ideas and to share how to approach something. To me, it's always a good thing. It always works to me. It grows everything I do if I collaborate with someone. So to me, it will be something great, honestly. So if you want to talk more about it,
yeah, for sure. For sure, I feel like we should try and do more collaborations like in the future, because the schools could be better at it, but it is a daunting task. But we'll get there.
I would like to before we finish. Yep. Answer the question that you asked before about if I will do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I will learn fine arts, honestly, if I go back to the past, and I will focus on fundamentals. It's something that I know everyone told Yeah, and beginners don't listen to this advice, and it's very important. The buttons and the software doesn't matter anything. What makes an image great is something else, and if you learn that something else, doesn't matter the software you use and doesn't matter the tool you use. So that's an advice for if someone is listening. At the beginning, looks like the buttons are everything because there are too many of them and they look very complicated. And in fact, I love buttons. I like to explain the complexity of things and technical aspects of it. I love it because I love the mixture between technology and art. But if someone is just about to begin this career, learn the fundamentals, learn about composition and color and things like that, and you will thank me later, 2 years from now. So
Totally agree.
Such a
It's
great
good advice to end on.
Such a great point. Thanks for mentioning. Really.
All right, Ioanna, will you take us from here, maybe?
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, I think we have to say goodbye to Adán, and thanks for being. Yeah, just to we have someone else to invite, as we have the limit of having people on screen. But I just want to say thank you, and I actually had some notes taken from your conversation, guys, because it was really nice. And I think this, and I had so many other questions, but that's for probably another time. Yeah, these things needs to be talked, and thank you again for organizing your chat, and for being with us. It was really nice. And now we will invite our next. Oh no, it's not the next speaker. Yeah, we'll say goodbye to you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Bye, Adán. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and we'll invite Pedro from Okdraw to join us. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Pedro.
Hello, Pedro.
Hello, Pedro.
But before we jump on introducing you, we have one presentation coming from Victor and Beauty and the Bit, which is really nice. And I'll give it to you, Victor, and maybe introduce yourself, and then we can
Yeah. Okay. So basically the thing is that when you guys asked me to do something for this event, I was really it fell in time because we did this year a new piece of animation that is entitled Sound of Ink, and we still had something like kind of a thorn there, which was making the making of this this feature film. And so we put our hands on it and finished that on time. It was really stressy, but basically that's the story under the presentation. It's like making this this little making of kind of feature for the Sound of Ink, basically. So if you want to play it right now, it will be amazing.
To mark the 6-month countdown to the opening of the new Shanghai Library East, Beauty and the Bit made his artistic reinterpretation of this project by Schmidt Hammer Lawson Architects. The short film, entitled The Sound of Ink, depicts the moment right before the doors open for the first time on the project. The strong motivation for this film is trying to imagine the future look and feel of this elegant cultural building, and blend it seamlessly with a cinematographic approach. This movie is a labor of love. It is the fruit of a decade of struggle, experimentation, and restless attitude. As always, our vision is to blur the line between architecture and cinema. Welcome to our creative trip to the Sound of Ink. We had pretty clear in our minds that it was key for us to tell the story of the library through the eyes of a photographer or a director, rather than a more impersonal approach, suitable for all audiences, trying to please everyone. This road is riskier, but most of the times brings better results. For all of this, it was vital a good previs phase for the movie. It is a stage in which we spend lots of time normally. At the end of the day, behind all these viewport captures, lies the true essence of the film. If we achieve a strong and solid narrative from a cinematographic point of view, the rest is a matter of visual debugging. It is crucial to always work previs with the final music piece in mind, since the music is always the film's common thread. We tend to say that if the previs works, then you have 70% of the job done. It is always a joy to see the evolution from the original previs to the final pixel, and how you face the problem. The better the creative direction, the less hassle in the process. This movie is about mood, about light, sound, and color. That is why it was so important to tackle the chromatic approach to the whole production. We spent insane amount of hours figuring out the best lighting conditions for each shot, and how a coherent chromatic narrative was established throughout the piece. It is not a literal evolution in time of day, but how to play with lighting and color, so that they are another character in the movie by themselves. We consider shots as living entities, growing in complexity by additive layers. Normally our first approach is simple. Trying to nail and encapsulate the principal nature of the shot and the idea we want to communicate. If that camera movement fails, all falls apart, so this is a really important layer. If you plan to have success with this camera phase, it is important to think as a director, and choose wisely the lenses you use, the aspect ratio you need, and the visual language you are thinking of. It makes a huge difference shooting a film with a complete different camera sensor instead of lenses. The message can differ a lot depending on your choices. For this film we relied heavily on a cool anamorphic treatment, which preserved that filmic look. Another level of complexity on the film was layering objects on the shots, such as the art installations. You have to be careful talking about composition when all these elements are introduced into scene, not to make it look as a mess, but as something that complements and give a reasonable level of complexity to the shots. Animating objects was another layering on this film, and we introduced in lots of shots additional movement, nuances, and excitement aside from the camera motion itself. As this is a library, we needed to create a reasonable and believable series of assets for the shelves. It was extremely powerful, the use of scripts for automation of these tasks. They led us to build randomized sets of books that would populate the shelves with little effort. Real-time rendering technology helped us a lot in terms or previs. For an artist, it is really important to stay focused in creation and not distracted with technical stuff. That is why being able to see real-time behavior on changes helps out so much for an agile process. Another fun part in the film was animating vegetation. Shanghai East Library is located in the Pudong district of Shanghai, on the border of the largest park in the city's heart, Century Park. We were going to need shots populated with vegetation, and wind simulation was key to add believability. After some nice tests, we were ready to go. Atmospheric effects are always attractive for adding interest to shots. Normally we leave all these resources for compositing stage, as it is always more fun to do, and give us much more flexibility. The difference atmospherics can bring are always a game changer. In the composition phase, we proceeded to make a selection of the videos recorded in the current area. Once selected, a 3D tracking of the video was performed to get a point cloud and a virtual camera that correspond to the drone video. In that point cloud we insert some reference objects in Nuke, to import everything in 3ds Max. In 3ds Max, We need to have the whole project textured and finished with all the elements that in the future will appear. We continue importing the camera and reference objects extracted in Nuke to insert the project. Then we add all the render elements needed for compositing and post-production. In our case, we believe it is good to make an advanced multipass, as it allows greater versatility in post-production. The next thing we do is creating an animated and irregular mask that joins the already rendered model with the video in post-production. Once finished, we shuffle all the render passes to have control on each layer. The following step is adding the necessary adjustments so that the video is integrated, and as last step, we add the final post-production filmic looking touches. A similar approach was used for this shot. It always helps having actual drone footage for these kind of aerial views. There is nothing as perfect in its own imperfection as reality, so having live action shooting makes a huge difference. Working on this movie has been an incredible experience for all the people at Beauty at the Den. Not only for the result, also because of the process. The artistic freedom our nice friends of Schmidt Hammer Lawson provided us made this end result possible. When it comes to an actual production, we always try not to follow formulas, and instead of this, give the creative direction the project deserves. This will resonate with the final pixels, and nothing will be overacted and artificial. At the end of the day, is trying to move people with our stories, and we really hope we did with this one. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
All the work I've seen is like very cinematic, and it's very interesting how you manage to do like things go beyond of just being architectural. This is like really, it's like a film quality, and it's really nice. Is that something like when you started the studios, was that something that you wanted to go for, like a balance between, you know, architectural base but also a cinema?
I think it's like kind of a natural evolution, at least for me. It's like when I started the studio, I was interested at some point in architecture exclusively, but I have been always like a huge fan of, you know, movies and video games and concept art and stuff like that. So at some point I saw it like more than like a distant worlds, like an opportunity of mixing that thing with architecture. It's like in the end it's all the same. It's like expressing something. It's like kind of an artistic expression. So it's like the way I see it, or the way we see it, is like, why, if we try to mix the best of all those worlds, and we started doing like that with terms of animation with Landmark, obviously. Then we went to Rebirth, and we did this one, for example. But yeah, in the end, it's something natural for me. It's like I don't feel myself as exclusively as an architect anymore, like years ago, and I see myself more like a director, or, you know. So it's natural for me. It's like, if I'm a director, I love movies, and I want that. I want to be inspired by that, and then my work, or our work, inspired that, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
We actually have quite a few questions from the audience, which is really cool. The first one should be really short. The voiceover, is that human?
Oh, that's something I won't say, so you will have that on your mind, and you will be asking yourself, "It's a fucking human or it's like a machine?" No, it's funny. It's something we did an experiment like time ago. I think it was like in the image of the month when we started doing images of the month, and I was always like fascinated by this piece of music by Radiohead. I can't remember the name of the song right now. It was like an old Mac computer kind of text generator or speech to text to speech and stuff like that. And we wanted to do something similar in this one. So yeah, I mean, I should say that I won't say anything about it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so this is a bit of a multiple question long one, I think. The shots, are they rendered in-house, and has GPU render any part of the process, and how much time did it take to complete the whole thing? In work-wise, I think the last part is.
Okay. Oh, shit. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. No, honestly, it's like I'm not the technical guy in the studio. I hate. I heard Adán said he likes buttons. I don't like buttons at all. But no, basically, I think like 90% of the movie was rendered in house. With the pandemic, we saw the opportunity to move to new offices, which is this one right now, and we started like our first render farm. We didn't have a render farm before, and yeah, everything was done in here except for I think one or two shots because we were a little bit tight with time at that point. That's one answer to the question. The GPU render part in the process, yeah, I think depending on the shots, some of them were done CPU, some of them were hybrid, and yeah, because depending on the machines, we had like better graphic cards nowadays. So I would say it was like mixed, depending on the shots, and the time it took time because it was a really labor of love project. It's not the regular, oh, the sun is fucking me. But basically, yeah, it took, I think, like 4 or 5 months long, the project, I should say. It's not the regular, 2 weeks or 1 month scheme project. And honestly, I don't like those projects. And I have to say, regarding this, like we have evolved into being really selective with the animation works we do, basically, because I think it's just a matter of quality, not quantity. And I would like that people would think about Beauty and the Beat talking about animation and also static images or other things that we do, which is our direction in some other realms, to be a quality studio, not a quantity. Because it's for me, it's like, at the end of the day, is the image you and how happy and proud are you about what you do, basically.
Perfect. Victor, we can see something behind you. The music was making in-house?
Yeah. The music was made by Press Stars, which are the guys that are at the end in the ending credits, and it was like, I think it was our first collaboration together. Okay, and these guys are just amazing, and I love them. They supported the project from the very beginning, and the idea was, I think it's being a musician myself or lots of years playing music. I think it's really important when you're doing an animation piece or a movie or whatever you're doing, that it's like close to that. It's like you should have in mind music first. That is why I always tell my client, is like, when we are doing previews, it's like it should be done with the right music, and we should choose the right music, and even at that point, because it's going to define the pulse and the tone of the movie itself.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, music's really important.
Absolutely.
Quick question. We don't have much time, so there I want to ask a lot of questions, and but yeah, maybe just one more. I see that there is one from the audience. What are some good resources you use for compositing? Past the basic archive multipasses, but actually adding atmosphere and advanced techniques. Which wasn't really a quick question for the time that we have.
Okay. You mean for nuking or After Effects stuff? You mean that, I guess. So yeah. To be honest, honestly, it's like regarding for example, administrators and stuff like that. There are not so many, honestly. Visual libraries out there. There are like 2 or 3 that are really used in business, but with that and a little bit of imagination, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and also you can even build your own libraries with nowadays there's a lot of programs like Houdini, Tyflow, etc., and you can make some alphas out there and then compose that in Nuke or in After Effects of the program you use, no? But yeah, basically, I think it's important to use that in post-production because there's other studios that they do all of that in production, actually, in render engine or whatever. But honestly, I think that's for us. It gives us more versatility. And regarding, resources, I think that there are not so many. If you type fog, for example, for fog libraries, there are not so many fog libraries out there.
Yeah.
So it's like playing with them, deconstructing them, mixing them, whatever it is, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Informative.
That's a good business idea right there, I think.
Yeah.
To make some libraries for compositing materials.
Yeah, absolutely.
Victor will be your first client. That's fine.
For sure. Okay, guys.
Okay, so thank you, Victor. I think
no worries.
It's time to say goodbye to you as well and invite Hugo from Okdraw. It's really sad when I have to say goodbye. I want to keep you all for 20 hours.
No worries. I hope next time we can do it in person and have some drinks together of us and celebrate that all this backup situation has finally, we can forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree with you.
Okay. Have a nice 24 hours of chaos, guys, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now we have the guys from Okdraw. I don't know if you want to make your presentation because we missed the first minutes in the beginning. So can you tell us about you, please?
Do you want to start, Pedro?
Yeah, we are Okdraw. We are a team of 4 in a visualization studio based in Portugal. We were founded in 2013, and we've been doing works in architectural visualization for real estate competitions, and we've been doing it internationally as well as nationally. And I guess we bring some of those works to you guys to see, for you guys to see it, and to talk a little bit more about what we think makes our images a little bit ours.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to play the presentation.
Hey everyone.
Hi there. My name is Hugo.
I'm Pedro.
And we are the founders of Okdraw, architectural visualization company based in Portugal. So, first of all, thank you very much, you all, for being here today, looking at our ugly faces and having the chance to see our presentation. But especially we have to thank Chaos Group team for this opportunity, and also Pedro Moreira for being here today and helping us presenting this our work. So starting our presentation, the name of our presentation is Big Stories, Little Moments. it kind of explains itself. I mean, it's kind of our obsession in the moment, our obsession telling stories inside of images and image inside of images and compositions inside of compositions. We will talk about a special project that we had a chance to work recently, and instead of talking about technical stuff or other softwares updates, we feel that probably this could be more interesting to talk about ourselves, of course. To start about our studio, this is the place where we work. Me and Pedro started Okdraw in 2013. Me as an architect and Pedro as a product designer. Fortunately, today we are a team of 4. We are 2 architects and 2 product designers. We are fortunate to work with Gonçalo and Catarina, 2 amazing artists and really nice people. We still work at night sometimes, as you see here, but I think everyone in this area do it. So
yeah, especially if you love what you do, it's normal that you put a few extra hours in it.
So this is a small video of our office that you were about to see. We have a nice garden outside.
Yeah,
it's
very spacious
to stretch our back when we need some. It's mostly all the time. And yeah, that's ourselves pretending to work while a friend of ours are filming us. And yeah. So this is our space, this is us. We work for architects and for real estate developers. So we work with commercial work and also on architecture competitions. Today we will talk about the commercial work that we give the name All in All.
Yeah, and this project was in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. It was made, the design of the architecture was by Kostas. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but you can read it on the bottom right. And we were fortunate to be able to collaborate in the creative direction alongside with Stat, which is a creative agency from the Netherlands. And it was a very interesting project in the sense that they wanted a different kind of communication of a real estate company. They wanted to explore a little bit more of an artistic approach of a commercial project, and it was a very challenging and interesting project for us because it's not something that you usually see in a commercial project on the real estate kind of area. And it also gave us the opportunity to work on several different scales of images. We went from aerial views, which you can see the whole images on the top row, and we went from working on aerial views, exterior views, some small close-ups of the building, some interiors, and also some close-up of the interior. So it was very rich in that sense. The project itself was based on sustainability, and it was very concentrated on the brick, because brick it's kind of as they said was a very costly material nowadays, and so they wanted to communicate all of this in the images. And on the aerial view, one thing that is important to say is that it's prohibited to fly a drone on this part of the city. So the only option we had was to do everything in 3D, which usually kind of a problem because you have more work to do and you have to do all the surroundings in 3D. But at the same time, we looked at it as an opportunity to be able to craft and control the environment around it, and kind of creating stories and compositions as we would see fit, instead of having to regard on the photographs and what happened on that specific day. So when you're working on the aerial views, you're mostly concerned about the composition of the project and the building itself and the surroundings. So you want to communicate how the project integrates itself on the surroundings. That's your main concern, that's your main composition. But besides that, we were also concerned about narratives and little stories and little moments, as the name of our presentation says, surrounding the environment. So you have, the messengers on the bike, which is very usual on the Netherlands, and they are passing through. You have the guy that is going to park over there, these two dudes just talking around, and also be able to work, kind of two different areas, like the two teenagers on the skates and also the people on suits on the entrance of the building, and also working with colors, as you have the blue suit guy with the blue car. So you have compositions inside of compositions, and also creating little small moments and stories about the two guys that seem that are lost, strolling around the neighborhood, just looking around. So this aerial view in this project was very dense in terms of vegetation, and because it was a sustainable building and project, and we wanted to create lots of details that you could close up and see all the fine details and all the working hours of 3D put it into it, and all the small moments happening over there, and some of these moments that you are not able to create with a drone if you are having to rely on photographs. Same thing for the entrance and for the exterior views, which we are a little bit more used to work on fully on 3D. And the idea here was to communicate the entrance of the building, how nice it was with a little warm tone, all the wood and all this welcome feeling that you have when you enter to the main entrance of the building. And so the main idea is to do the composition around the entrance, having to be careful about the brick and be careful about the vegetation, having those in your composition, but you can also create some stories and some narratives sorry, for the guys that are on the entrance, and once again the bikes that are really important on this side of town, on this town in particular, and the guy that is taking the bike for a stroll right in front of the entrance, also the couple on the interior. So you're kind of always thinking about your main composition while you're thinking about your small compositions. For example, in this exterior one, you have two people on the balcony, and you can have this composition where you have like a building on 1/3, 2/3 of sky, and this guy over here, this could be an image on its own. It could work very well, just a portrait of a guy with a bike, and it's actually a small close-up of this part of the image over here. So these type of concerns of creating stories, making them work on the big composition and on the big story, and also making sense on the image without distracting from the main subject, which is communicating the project. It's kind of hard and it's difficult to balance, but it's also very fun because you put a lot of your personal stories and your personal feelings into the work. For example, you have a close-up of the corner of the building where you are seeing most of the materials, some nice touch of design, some nice composition, but you also have small stories that we created that probably most people won't notice. The small birds over here and the small birds over here near the couple, and the little girl with the teddy bear on the bedroom, which we created the story for it in our heads, and then we put it into the image. On the interior ones, as you don't have much people or any people at all, it's not so much about the composition of people, but more so about the kind of public which the project is for. And you have a guideline, and you create a person or people, and their age, their interests, and you create a story behind it. So every decoration and every object on the interior has to make sense with that persona that you created and that you had the briefing for, so that when the image goes for the selling department, all the people that are buying it or that they wanted them to buy, they kind of feel interconnected with the interior that you did. It makes sense for them. And besides this, you also can make compositions on the interiors without people. You can just make, interactions between objects like they were a person. Like, for example, this table and this sofa over here, and the type of materials and colors that you have. And these two on the opposite side with the wood over here and the wood over there. And there are two different types of designs, two different types of materials and colors, but they are the same interior and they work on the final image. There was also a challenge on the interior, which was to place some Dutch projects and represent some of Dutch artists. And this was a suggestion from Start on the collaboration we did. And they also gave us some insight of some artists that we could use, so that the project could be a little bit more representative of the Dutch people, for the Dutch people. So once again, one interior where you can see the balance between decoration and the type of decoration has to make sense for the person that you are the clients for this project.
Even here, the objects almost work as a characters inside of architecture. What we feel that this project was very interesting for us was that we have the chance and the time to work every frame and to work every shot and with a lot of details. Not just for the materials, but even for details, as Pedro is showing. So the communication between the materials and the communication between the elements inside of the image, and this was very nice, because usually we have to work very quickly. This project was done not so fast, but with a cool collaboration between us and Stat, the direction of the art direction of this work, because they pushed us to improve our work, but also they were very open to our suggestions, to our compositions, and to decoration elements, to composition elements that could improve the communication for them and also for the architecture. This is a project that, as Pedro mentioned, you can see we have the aerial and we have the crop. So architecture is fully represented on different scales, and we think that really it's a different commercial project for us, because even having these different shots, we had the opportunity to work every shot and other shots inside of them, to work to really have the care of composition, of color, of light, the three bases that we believe are the main focus of a good picture.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also made the images more richer, because it's not just about the building, it's about all of the things that you can directly or indirectly see, or consciously or unconsciously see, and they all of them add up to the final image, and they made it a little bit better than if it was just a building without any of the rest of the things that we just mentioned in it. So this talk was not so much about software or techniques. It was something a little bit more out of maybe a photography or a painting presentation. But we feel it's very necessary to keep this in mind when doing images. It's not just about technical sides or just programs or softwares. It's also about the main basics of art. Lighting, color, composition, and story narrative. So we hope you liked the presentation, and we would like to thank you once again for your time.
And hope to see you someday. Thank you very much for your time.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Thank
are
you
having
for
a lot of
us.
Yeah,
questions.
so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Really
much.
cool.
Well done, guys.
So we have a few questions coming from the audience, from channels that we've been watching. Let I need to just read them. Okay, about the software that you are using for this presentation. Can you share it super quickly? Can you hear me?
Prezi, I think, isn't it, Pedro?
Okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
use it Prezi.
It was
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Help me, guys.
What have you used to create the randomness in the bricks of the facade? For example, did you use the UV randomizer, hue sets, or how did you achieve those looks?
Exactly. We used Corona, and basically we just used a lot of brick textures and some smudges textures, etc., to give some randomness to the bricks. When with the floor generator plugin, we just mess it around until we find a good result that we liked, and also the clients. It was the client's I don't know look that they wanted.
Okay, I don't know if everyone can hear me because I'm having some issues with the mic, but we have another
now
quick.
it's
It's good,
Good
okay?
now, Pedro.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
good.
Yeah, it's good.
So I don't. We have another question. How much did these images are 3D or 2D?
Pedro, do you want to answer?
Yeah. I think we mentioned that in the beginning of the video, where everything is done in 3D because we didn't have permission to fly a drone, for example. The location, it's prohibited to fly a drone in the center of Amsterdam, except for very special occasions. And we had to do everything in 3D, including the surroundings, the neighbors, the streets, the pavements, everything. And it gave us a little bit more control about the environment and the stories that we wanted to tell, and that made part of the narrative. It made the project special in a way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love
Thank you very much.
I love the fact that each image has a story, and you have like the people, and they have a story, and then you have the objects, and they have a story, and that was really cool. So you guys really thought of everything, yeah.
It's like we are kids. We are playing with small people, playing with toys and put them together.
Exactly.
And you two are a couple.
You create life. That's it.
No, it just helps us also to give more sense and more reality to things that we are doing. Just not using stuff and drop the characters inside of images. We believe that everything has to make some sense in the end. So of course we liked, as Pedro was saying, it's like almost a game, of course, for us and for everybody, I think, on this field.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Really cool. I think we're so low on time that we don't really have much time for any more questions.
Yeah.
But at least we don't have to kick anyone out anymore.
Yeah, one positive thing.
So that's a positive note.
Yeah, and if we have some time at the end, we can just still sneak a question or two.
Yeah, so people can still ask questions in the chat and everything. Also, if it's even for the real-time guys and for Okdraw and now later as well for Thomas when you've seen his presentation. Obviously, we do a Q&A now for Thomas as when we're done with that. But we should have a little bit of time left at the end of this as well.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds good.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Maybe you could do a small introduction, or is it best just to start with your presentation?
Just play the presentation so it doesn't get a double introduction. Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay. Everybody, my name is Thomas Berg. I'm a 3D and VFX journalist. And first of all, thanks a lot for being a part of this awesome event. So I'm from Trondheim, the third largest city in Norway. And I've been working freelance since 2010. So in 2019, I started my own company, and it's called Animasjon. And it's still me, but it just sounds a lot more professional when talking to customers. So I'm a self-taught 3D VFX journalist, so my way of learning has not been the traditional way. And it's mainly just watching a lot of making of behind the scenes tutorials, doing research, failing a lot and trying a lot, and going into Facebook groups. And it's a lot of good ways to learn these days. But the most important is, of course, the software and learn about the hardware. But the planning, it's a really big, the biggest time-consuming part of it, because when you haven't worked on any big shows, you have to learn just by watching a lot of movies and TV shows and try to deconstruct how the approach to the effect is, and just don't learn how to do it, but why you should do it in that way. And that gives you a realistic view of the possibilities on your own budget and time frame. And it also gives just the habit of learning and enjoying troubleshooting and like the reward of doing something you didn't know how to do before. And here in Trondheim, my clients, it's a lot of different types. I do a lot of broadcast graphics, and that's mainly everything from visual branding, from taking a show from idea to graphic, and title sequences, animations, and a lot of maps, and on-screen graphics. So I work with everything from science shows to children shows to quiz shows. So it's a lot of variety, and you learn a lot also. And industrial animation, it's a really big part of the animation here in Norway because of the aquaculture and oil and gas. And it's a lot of product and technical animations. And of course, the most fun and most challenging work is working with visual effects. And that's where my passion really is. And there I do as much as possible, everything from asset creation down to the whole way down to compositing, really. So, and I've been doing it for 10 years, so it's a lot of different scenarios that has learned me to get a lot of knowledge in the different fields. So I often also just work on small parts of it, like not necessarily taking the shots from start to finish, but also, for example, doing just the match moving or simulations for other companies. So per year, I do around 40% broadcast graphics, 30% industrial, and 30% VFX. But I'm hoping to get it up to 100% VFX. That's my goal. And now I will show you some of my work. It's some TV work and a little bit of industrial and some VFX. So when working as a one-man studio, the tools and hardware is a really important part of the job. So I use 3ds Max for my main tool, and V-Ray and Phoenix, and also a lot of other tools like Mudbox, Photoshop, After Effects, TileFlow, ForestBack, PFTrack, Metashape, and Perception Neuron for motion capture, and also Backburner for render management. So here you can see my typical setup at home. It's just a workstation and the render manager, and then I have a small render farm with 4 machines. And I'm going to show now a couple of tips and tricks. So the first one is using a post-render denoiser. And of course, the denoiser in V-Ray is really good, but when working on animation sequences, I often like to have the possibility to adjust it afterwards. And it's a denoiser for After Effects that's called Neat Videos Denoiser, and that's a really good tool. So when using it, it's easy to just select a pattern of the noise, and it automatically generates a profile that works pretty good right off the box. You just have to adjust it a little bit, because sometimes it may blur the image a little too much. And you can also set presets, so you can have like a different V-Ray settings as a preset. Here you can see it turning on and off, and it's a lot of difference. And since it's after render, it's really good if you have rendered something overnight, you're going to deliver and see it's way too much noise. And also it can be used as a mask. So if you have a part of the image that's more noise than the rest, you can mask it out and maybe have a little more noise without losing the details in the areas that don't have to have so much noise reduction. And another part that's I haven't seen anybody else do, so it's kind of my own little trick. It's using the temporal denoiser on particle effects. So the way a temporal denoiser works, it takes your frame and it blends it with before and after frames. So when a particle is moving, you will get a much more average particle, and on especially like the water sims that you see here, you will get this more of a mist feeling almost. So it actually sometimes makes it look a little bigger scale because the small details disappears and you get more of it's almost like a mist effect. And it's also really good if you, for example, have rendered foam as a on pass overnight and you see before delivery you have to fix something. It's not something you should use all the time, but sometimes it can help you, like get rid of the what's the name for it? The runaway particles, the one that's, yeah, because it will average it out so it won't be that sharp. Another trick is using Phoenix and TieCache, because TieCache is used a lot now because it's a really good plugin. And when simulating something on a TieCache file, you want to attach your emitters somehow. But when I simulate, I always have one TieCache file, so it's one mesh. And the way I do that is that I use attachment constraint, and the first thing you should know is what's the face value you're going to use when doing that. So by using an editable mesh, you can just select the face and you will get the value. So you just have to remember that value. And then you just create like a dummy or a point or whatever, just something to attach your emitter to. And then you use the constraints. Let me see. And then you just type in the value that you had in the face. You can also find it manually by adjusting, but it's on these kind of models, it's so many faces that it will take forever. And here you can see it's attached to the face, and it's really easy just to put on a model to emit from on that parent it on. So here I've just done it on 4 different torches, and you can see it's a good way to simulate it. And I hide the TieCache there before because I just wanted the simulation to go a little faster. And this is also a pre-recorded, so the simulation time here is a little bit slower than how it appears in this preview. the combination of using TyFlow and simulating on top of that is a really powerful and new feature. And I think 3ds Max gives it a lot of new powers. That's really awesome. And here you can see different kinds. It's the same technique. I just, instead of simulating the emitter, I simulate or attach a proxy that simulates faster. Here you can see the final shots. And another good thing about this, it's really easy to script the whole operation. And I'm not a scripter, but this is a code I wrote just by using the 3ds Max script helper. So here you can see it in action. You just select the face and it does everything for you. It creates a dummy and it attaches it and parented it. And yeah, and also another part is using what I call simulation templates. Just simulate different things in different files and just reuse them, often with a time offset if there's multiple of them in the same scene. So then, like this, it's one simulation with just a time offset. So it's you don't recognize the pattern in the render. And that makes it much easier to spend some time on one simulation. And then for each time you reuse it, it gets like an added value almost. So it's good to have an archive of different kinds of simulations. So as on this shot, it's a shot that's just a 3D track. And then it's quite fast to just import the simulation you had from before. And that way, for me, it makes it possible to do a lot more VFX on a lot less time. And here also, the fire on the bridge and the torches is simulated in separate scenes and just imported in, and also the water splash. And create presets. It's also a thing I like to do because it's much easier to see how, for example, the blood simulation is when it's a static object instead of a moving object. So I just set up my simulations in a static environment and then save it as a preset. And when I have a scene where I need to have a movement, I know that the preset is good. So sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit, but like here, it's just import a preset and select the emitter, and it simulates it. And yeah, it works really well. And the last tip is actually a quite fun one because it's more about thinking of a effects, like a practical effects, like this is a spear going through the stomach, and you could simulate it with a meter that emitted all the liquids, but when the emitter is inside it, the spear will go through it and then drag along a lot of blood, so we'll get the blood trails. So it's also fun to like see how they do things practical and just try to recreate it digital because it's a lot of knowledge there. So that was the end of my presentation, and I would like to end it with saying that working with 3D and VFX, it's a creative sandbox, endless of possibilities. And it's amazing to see companies like Chaos create artist-friendly plugins that's really fast and gives a lot of opportunities to do things I couldn't do before. And here we have the contact info, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You have everything on screen here. And we'd like to thank everybody involved in this event, and I'm looking forward to the next presenters and also just following it the whole day because it's amazing to have a 24-hour Chaos event. So yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing stuff.
Awesome. Thanks. You did another work there.
All right, we're running really low on time,
Yeah,
so I'm going to power through all of this.
Yeah.
As I understand it with Thomas, he's going to be up for the next 24 hours. He promised me that earlier. So he will probably be live on chat for the next 22 hours or something from now on. So you can ask him all the extra questions you have there. He'll answer no matter the time. Just do it. No problem. I promise that. That's fine.
You'll be the quiz winner. I can sense it.
To make it easy. Yeah. Oh, well, not easy, but Thomas, I have two questions for you, and I think I have one for Okdraw as well. So, in your journey as a freelancer, who has been your greatest mentors, and when it comes to learning 3D quickly and professionally? Do you have any favorites?
It has to be Alan McKay, I think. He's probably the one that I've seen a lot of. And who else? The only thing, it's not a mentor, but one of the most inspiring things I ever seen is like a real old Gareth Edwards breakdown from a project called Attila the Hun, which he did in 3ds Max back in like 2007, I think. So look at that for inspiration if you are wanting to learn VFX, because that's a really good. He shows how you can do big scenes with smart techniques. So yeah. Al McKay is the answer.
Cool. I think one of the things that people were really impressed about with your presentation is that you're working primarily alone. So one of the questions is, do you always work exclusively alone, or are you hiring some freelancers from time to time as support?
Yeah, like from 2010 to 2017, I shared office with another 3D artist. So we worked together on some projects, but since then I've worked on everything by myself. And it's quite difficult to get good freelancers in Trondheim where I work, because I like to do it, have it locally. So for the most part, I just do it myself. I also like to do it myself because it's so fun. So yeah.
All right, really cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I have one question for Okdraw. Do you often run into the issue that the client wants their images too clean and there are no like smudge marks or surface imperfections or anything like that?
Of course, all the time. No, we have some, of course, some special clients that like some smudges and like to feel the time going through architecture. But I would say that the commercial work usually like it to be clean as possible. Of course, we try to push it a little bit, and sometimes we can do some dirty stuff, sometimes don't. But yeah, the most part of the times, clients want it clean, I would say.
All right, man. Cool.
Yeah, I guess there is like so many questions coming on the way. But yeah, thank you all for being with us. It was really nice to have you all and to hear from you, hear your great presentations. And I feel so inspired, and I don't want the day to be over, but I can't be selfish and keep you here. There are actually a few winners at the end of, so Nicolas announced at the beginning that there are games. So now at the end of the show, we're gonna announce the winners, and I can see who the names are, so I'm gonna be quick. So the raffle winner is Lee Puzowski, and I'm really sorry if I don't pronounce the name correct. So congratulations. And we have a social media giveaway winner, which is Carl Plante. So congratulations, guys. You're the winner to show on. Yay!
Nicely done.
Yeah, and
Right.
we still have 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
2 minutes before we move to Brazil. So let's go.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find a question.
Or
Or do you have one,
how's
Ioanna?
everyone feeling? Did you guys have fun?
Yeah,
it was a great experience.
Good. Yeah, would you be able
That was
to keep this hype until the show 12? And I'll try. Well,
Fingers crossed.
There's so many shows to get on with, so yeah, for sure. It's I'm gonna try and stay here for all of the things I can, but I'm probably not gonna be able to do all 24 hours.
okay, we'll see.
I hope I'll be able
Thomas
to.
will be there, so don't worry.
Yeah, he can give me a review later on.
Or a couple of times. Yeah.
Well, if Thomas is a one-man
Okay,
show, he can do it easily.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, really quick question, and then Pedro, you can send us off, right?
Yeah.
Would any of you guys take in junior artists as internships remotely?
I guess we would.
I
Certainly.
guess we are open to it.
Real time, yeah?
Oh,
Depends
Okay,
on which,
remotely as well,
on which
or-
field, on which project, but yeah, there's certainly an option.
Yeah, definitely.
We need to wrap the things because we
All
have
right,
the
man.
guys from Brazil waiting for us and everyone that is watching. So don't go anywhere. We have Ricardo and Hugo as hosts. So take care and enjoy the next 22 hours.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Thank you so much.
thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Everyone,
Thank you, bye.
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 Bye.